Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you guys for joining me today after this break. I'm super excited for the next conversation. But as you guys know, if you've been following along all day, I'm going to start it off with a few announcements. First off, we want you to make sure that you are sharing your thoughts. Chat with us. Let us know any questions that you guys have about the day. We want to answer those for you. We want this to be an interactive experience. Also, we want to see what you're rocking today. This is a fashion event, so we cannot leave the looks and the outfits out. Y'all see me rocking my shiny blazer dress. I want to see what you're wearing today. So make sure you tag us with the hashtag today, which is hashtag BLK Room FX, and make sure you guys tag the Black Room Project on Instagram. We want to see what you guys are rocking today. We want to see all those looks. We want to give a special shout out and a last call for you guys to jump into the 7 minutes of style heaven with Luis. We have a professional wardrobe stylist there to give you any tips, any tricks. You can ask him absolutely any questions, and that will be wrapping up pretty soon. That was from 4 to 5. So make sure you guys run and jump in there, ask those questions. And last but not least, make sure you guys check out your black bag. We did not forget about the swag bags today at the event. I know one of my favorite things about attending a fashion event is the swag bag and the goodies. So we have a lot of different great things in the bag for you guys. Make sure you click on the black bag icon to get all of the goodies from today. All right, so now we are getting ready to get started on our next segment, and we are about to have a masterclass with Antonio Gray. He is with DTLR. Hey, Antonio, how are you today?
I'm great. Greetings. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good. That's what I'm talking about. So we're about to get started. We're going to hop right in with some questions. But before I do the questions, I would love to do just a little quick fire game. I'm going to ask you a few questions about this or that, and they'll be super quick. But just give me your first thought or your first choice off the top of your head. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
First one is fast fashion or thrifting?
If I had to choose, fast fashion.
Okay. Next, which would you prefer, online or in store for shopping?
In store, all day.
All day. That's what we're talking about. It's DTLR. We got to be in the stores. Okay. And the last one is, while we are all working from home, or we were here for a very long time, which do you prefer, some loungewear or PJs?
I'm sorry, what was the second option?
PJs.
I'm going to go with loungewear.
Okay, me too. I love a good loungewear set. Okay, and I know we've gotten a lot of that this year with the pandemic and everybody shifting into our comfortable casual wear. So we are going to get right into the questions. I want to start off with letting everybody know who you are. So if you could just introduce yourself and tell us, who is Antonio Gray?
Thank you. Well, first, Antonio Gray is a man of God. I'm a father. But for this purpose, I am the Vice President and Divisional Merchandise Manager of Apparel at DTLR.
Nice. Very nice. All right. So this is kind of a two-part question. How did you get started with DTLR as the VP? And then also, how did DTLR come about?
I'll start with the DTLR portion. DTLR started in 1982. It was originally downtown locker room, and it was more athletic apparel and footwear. Over the years, it transitioned into more of a fashion retailer. My story is a little bit different. I started out as a stock person at a retail store called Merry-Go-Round. It was a nationwide chain that went out of business in the mid-90s. And I worked in the stock room. I worked on the sales floor. I was management, and I really made my name for myself there. And once I made a name for myself, Merry-Go-Round went out of business. I decided that although I was in school and I was a psychology major, I made the choice of, I love this, and I want to chase my fashion dream. And that's what I did. And I became a buyer at another regional chain. And eventually I made the move to DTLR.
Nice. I can relate to that. I actually went to school for fashion and I worked in retail as well. So I have a passion there too. So one thing I want to get into is when we're talking about the stores and merchandise and things like that, what are some lifestyle apparel brands or trends that that you guys look for?
Well, and I would say that's the best part about the business that I'm in. There's plenty of different types of fashion, but in our space, it's ever changing. So the first thing we're looking for is newness. Creativity and newness are always going to win out. Right now, we're selling a lot of denim with colors, like sneaker-friendly denim. It used to be that jeans were all about quality and selvage and fit and fabric, and now fit is important. The fit certainly changed, but it's about how can you introduce color to denim and how can you find different places to print on the t-shirt or different placement on the cap. And so it's all about creativity right now. So if there's something different, that seems to win out with our consumers. So that's what we look for.
Nice. And you mentioned the newness aspect of it. So if I have an emerging brand or a fashion line or things like that, how would you get connected or get started or be placed in a DTLR store?
I have a two-part answer. If there's any designers looking right now, you can always email us at newvendor@dtlr.com. However, if you have a unique product and you're making some noise in the marketplace, we'll find you. We're not touring due to COVID. We're not necessarily in the marketplace as much as we usually have been, but we have teams in each region that we trade in. And if there's something making noise, I'm getting emails from managers and emails from the street team, and I'm calling folks and I'm sliding in the DM of this brand and that brand, and we're chasing anything that's hot. So if you make it hot, we'll come looking for you.
Oh, that's good to know. So you guys don't always have, if you just got to make your voice known is what I'm hearing. You got to be hot and you got to put out the content and they can find you. That's really cool.
I would love to add one more thing to that.
Oh, and go ahead.
You have to bring something different. Again, back to that newness. I found that there was once a time when every brand had their own identity and they didn't necessarily want to do the same thing. Now, if there's something that's working, I find that a lot of times other folks run in that direction and they try to do the same thing. And if we have something that's working, we don't need a second brand that's doing the same thing. So if you make your own lane and you're doing something different, that's what we need, so that we're not necessarily competing with, we're giving the customer an opportunity to buy two different things.
Important, very important. So in knowing the brand, we know that DTLR thrives in different aspects of, there's different aspects of the brand that you guys thrive in. So we know community is big, music, sports, and fashion. So one thing I'd like to know from you is if you could give one example for each of those categories on how they contribute to the retail structure for DTLR.
So I'll go through them. If I miss one, just remind me. I'll start with saying that DTLR has always been about lifestyle. We have a full radio station, so there were times, again, pre-COVID, when there would always be artists in the building. And so there's two things. Maybe we see the way they're wearing something, and then often artists would be partnering with the brand. And so that relationship would be organic. We wouldn't have to go chasing because we already had those relationships. The same with athletes. It's, I feel like there's really a blend between athletics and fashion. And as they say, the ballers want to be rappers and the rappers want to be ballers. And so usually they travel in those same circles. And community, we're always in the community. So we're seeing things there. If I had to pick one example, I would say so DTLR is based in Maryland. Wale, repping DC all day. It's, he was doing an interview and he had a cap line. He wasn't necessarily wholesaling it, but through our relationship with him, we launched, we sold them, and that did very well for us. Actually, I'm gonna throw one more in there. And then
Okay.
another home team guy, Pusha T in Virginia, back when there was the Clips, when they were launching I'm Good, through our music relationships, I flew down to Virginia. We met at the hotel room. We chopped it up and we built the launch product for I'm Good. So obviously the song turned out to be a hit, which we had every confidence it would do. But in all of their press, in all of their press packets, they were wearing the shirt that we designed together, and it was available exclusively at DTLR. So we got the look from that, and then we took it one step further. We had a managers meeting where we flew all of our managers in. We would do that once a year, and then the Clips pulled up, and they performed the song, and we gave away shirts to the managers, and and that was extremely successful. So I think the important part there is we're not chasing, we're not trying to be a part of. It's who we are, and so those opportunities come to us organically because we're already there.
Yeah, no, that is so important. And that is so cool that you guys kind of saw that all the way through and all the different aspects. So that is amazing. Another question I have is, how has DTLR seen the effects of fast fashion on its brand?
I think fast fashion and social media, or just technology in general, have really changed the timelines. It used to be, there was once a time when if there were a trend, that trend might last a year or two. But now, if there's a trend, we know that there's going to be somebody in fast fashion that's going to be quick to participate in that trend. Mm-hmm. And we also know that because of social media, there's it's almost like you want newness all the time, so you get desensitized to it. You see it too frequently. So how that's affected our business is, we know that we can't ride the trend as long as we used to be able to ride the trend. We need to be pushing for something, and that's another thing. If there's a brand and they're doing something that's great, we already know if this is working, and that's part of what we discuss every week, me and my team, is if this is working, not let's just get more of this. It's what would they want next, because we know it won't last as long as it used to back in the day.
Yeah, you got to be forward thinking and on top of it. So that's awesome. So for someone who might be interested in working on the corporate side of like a major fashion retailer, how would you recommend them getting their foot in the door? I know you kind of gave us your input on like how you got started, but what advice would you give on someone who wants to kind of follow in those same footsteps?
So there's multiple members of our executive team, including myself, that started out in the stores and worked our way up organically to be where we are at a corporate level. And that's one path. And I find that, like, for me, even when we're placing orders, I have a sensitivity to how things are done in the store, how things are done in the warehouse, because I've participated at all of those levels at some point or another. So I think that's great to have that background, and it's certainly important, but there's buyers on my team that have done the traditional schooling, got a degree in fashion, and applied for the job. I think the important part is not necessarily those things. It's having passion and drive. And when we can feel that and see that, whether you're in the store or whether you're applying for a job, those are the people we want on our team.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, having my experience in going to school for fashion, we kind of had a little opportunity before we got started to kind of chat a little bit about that. But I think a lot of people don't realize, or they might overthink it, that there's so many ways to kind of get your foot in the door. And just like you said, a lot of people have different paths to get there. So one thing that I would love to ask you is kind of what's your favorite part of being a VP and working with DTLR?
It's the relationships. I would say I got into this business because I love the fashion, and certainly you're not going to be successful in anything unless you love it and you want to do it and you want to work hard at it. So that's important. But my favorite thing is we have an extremely talented team, and it's not just folks on the buying side. Again, our marketing team is strong. And we all come from different backgrounds, but we have a family at DTLR, and then with our vendors, there's folks that I've worked with for 24 years, and so they feel like family as well. And the business is important, and having the right products important, but more than anything, it's when you're doing business with people that you have a relationship with, it feels good, and it doesn't feel like work when you're working long hours, and it doesn't feel like work when you have to travel and maybe you didn't get a chance to eat the meal you wanted to eat because you're checking into the hotel late. But when you're around people and you're having fun, then it just comes natural. And that's the part I love the most about it, is the relationships.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream. I always live by, like, you know, doing work that doesn't feel like work. And it sounds like you have that experience too over at DTLR. So that is definitely good to hear your aspects and your perspective. As we are coming to a close, sadly, I'd love to just kind of hear and tell everybody how they can kind of connect with you and DTLR, like where they can follow you guys. And also if they're interested in kind of getting into the business of, you know, retail, how they can get connected with you guys.
Okay, so you can find DTLR at DTLR.com. And also on Instagram, we're DTLR Lifestyle, DTLR Villa, our Instagram handles. DTLR Villa is also our Twitter handle. You can find me, Antonio T. Gray, on Instagram. And I'd say if there's something that you feel strongly about, whether it's you have a clothing line or you have a career path and you want to discuss it further, email me directly. My email address is agray, that's AGRAY, at DTLR.com.
Perfect. Are you on social media at all?
Yeah, so my IG handle is Antonio T. Gray.
Okay, perfect. So that's super awesome. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions. Like, I love hearing your aspect from like the VP side. We kind of got a little bit of time to kind of chat about that too. What we have a few more minutes, which is exciting. So I kind of have another off the cuff question. So you kind of mentioned and kind of tapped on like the social media aspect of things and kind of how you guys move with like the times and the environments. Have you felt like you guys have had, or what kind of shifts do you guys feel like you've experienced just kind of with everything that we've gone through with COVID? What kinds of things have you guys done to kind of like shift your thought process or the way that you guys are kind of going to maneuver through in the future with DTLR?
So what we did is a little bit different than what some others have done. For us, not only was there COVID, literally a year ago, there was certainly civil unrest in some of the marketplaces that we trade in. So we decided to shift from traditional marketing, and we invested and focused more on community outreach because that's a part of our DNA, and we could see that was more needed than ever. So for us, we're authentic, and we're always going to be there. Folks know if they want the next sneaker or the next head to toe hookup, they can come see us. And we feel confident that they understand that. And we're always showing the fashion. However, our pivot was our communities are in need, and that's where our stores are. We're in malls, but we're also on the street. And so because we're in the neighborhoods, we wouldn't want to be the type of merchant to show up, be there to sell you your outfit and not support. So we've done everything from, we had a voting drive last year where we helped register the vote before the election. Then we pivoted quickly to, especially around Thanksgiving, giving food in the neighborhoods that were underserved. We have neighborhoods that we trade in that have food deserts. So we wanted to address that, and we continue to look for what other needs do our communities have that might not necessarily drive an additional sale, but are the right thing to do. So that's really where our focus has been, because I think that we'll all agree that in 2020 and even now, there's people hurting and there's need out there. And so we knew we had to step up.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm glad I asked that last question because I know a community is important to you guys, but the fact that you didn't just kind of like step back or sit back, you guys got right out there and kind of did what you needed to do for your community. And I think that that's a big thing on how they can count on you guys to kind of just be there even in the tough times. So that's super awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so we go ahead. What did you say?
I was asking you if you had any more questions.
I don't have any more. I probably have a million questions, to be honest, but we have to wrap up now. So if you could give your email and then just the best way to find you one more time or connect with you one more time as we're wrapping up and coming to a close, that would be awesome.
So my email is agray@dtlr.com, and you can find us at dtlr.com.
Perfect. All right, Antonia, thank you so much for your time and sharing everything with us today. I appreciate you so much. Of course, and we are saying goodbye. So thank you guys. We're hopping into the next break. And remember, you can ask any questions and reach out to Antonio as well. Thank you.